Hello, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. The theme of today's presentation for the project is Digital Everywhere, making sure that in the new business world, we can transform businesses with the availability of location data. And I'm Mehrdad Koohikamali. I'm Associate Professor of the Computer Information System at the College of Business. And we have 5 teams presenting here at the GIS Day, pre-GIS Day presentation for the story maps of the spatial business. So without further ado, let's go to the first presentation about the Olympics tourism. And I'm just going to open the presentation. And then the first team, please go ahead and start talking about your presentation. And you have 15 minutes.
Our presentation was on exploring the Olympic tourism 2028 for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, California. And objective is analyzing tourist preferences, his, historical. Sorry, could you like scroll up a little bit so I can read the objectives above the name? Sorry. Analyzing tourist preferences, historical patterns, and transportation with the use of GIS data. And I'm Jonathan, and our other group members are Alberto Pena, Justin Paris, Hernandez, and Morgan Ackroyd. Our research questions were, where are the local tourist destinations that visitors can visit near the Olympic sports venues? And our other one was, how do transportation options and routes influence the movement of visitors between these locations during the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles? And just a basic overview of the Olympics for the 2028 Games was that it had over 50 Olympic and Paralympic sports with 800 events and 3,000 hours of live action. And there were over 80 venues prepared that will be prepared for this event. And officially, there will be no new permanent venues made for this Olympics, and it will be utilizing these world-class stadiums and facilities throughout the Los Angeles area. And if you look at the map, if you expand the map, we utilized a mixture of proximity and buffer analysis, and the red points represent the venues that will be used for the LA Games, the red points, and then the blue points, if you click on some of them, they represent the tourist locations, attractions, landmarks, and if you could see those white marks, it represents the route, the transportation routes, which are also shown with the green lines, blue lines, and red lines if you zoom in a little bit. And then if you zoom in even closer, there are a little bit closer, there's also there's those green dots, which are the bus stops and train stops for where people can see like how to where they can stop by to go to those routes. And then if you couldn't read the venues, here are the names of a couple of them here by city, and they're all part of Los Angeles County, and as well as the Olympic training sites.
So next, we're going to go over the tourist attractions. So Los Angeles is known for having a wide variety of tourist attractions and sites that may appeal to different types of demographics. So for example, in the Hollywood and Beverly Hills area, there's the Walk of Fame, Hollywood Sign, the Chinese Theater, Rodeo Drive. In downtown LA, there's many rooftop restaurants and activities. There's a Walt Disney Concert Hall, the LA Live Union Station, and there's also museums, cultural sites such as a LA County Museum of Art, Natural History Museum of LA, the California Science Center, Getty Center, In part of theme parks and zoos, there's Universal Studios, Disneyland, Six Flags, and many popular and local beaches and piers such as Santa Monica Beach Pier, Venice Beach, and Malibu Beach Pier. So there's also many iconic sports related locations. For example, many tourists can also visit Dodger Stadium, the Bank of California Stadium, the Rose Bowl Stadium, and LA Galaxy's Dignity Health Sports Park. And for the historical visitation pattern, Los Angeles is rich in history and culture, showcasing a variety of historical sites and neighborhoods that reflect this diverse heritage. And for example, historical sites can be Union Station, the Bradbury Building, LA State Historical Park, Griffith Park, and the LA Memorial Coliseum. And there's also many cultural districts and neighborhoods within LA, such as Chinatown, Little Tokyo, historic Filipino Town, Koreatown, Bunker Hill, Thai Town, Alvera Street, and LA Plaza Historical District.
Okay, so now for transportation and traffic. Transportation and traffic are infamous for their challenges and variety. The city of Los Angeles is known for its heavy traffic, of course, whether it's on the roads or on the sidewalks. Los Angeles has a complex freeway system that connects various amounts of subcities and towns. For this event, tourists will have the option to use public transit, such as the Metro Rail, Metro Bus, Dash buses, and also the Metro Link. Rideshare apps are also used, such as Uber, Lyft, taxis, and car rentals. In addition, for shorter distances, companies offer e-scooters and e-bikes that tourists can rent. And these tourists can also will have the option to pay with cash, physical cards such as debit cards or credit cards, and they will also have the option to use tap to pay with their phones.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For call to action, downtown Los Angeles welcomes over 25 million visitors every year. Tourist attractions and historical landmarks draw most of these visitors, so our goal is to provide visitors with the necessary details in the most efficient and effective way possible. Yes. So back in 1984, when the Olympics were held here in Los Angeles, they actually mailed out route maps with the tickets. Right here's like the image of the route map they sent. Uh, and so for 2028, we want to create a pamphlet that showcases a map, like a whole map of the venues, tourist attractions, and just transportation routes and options that they could use to effectively uh, go through their journey. Uh, so right here's like our pamphlet. It's more of an example. Moving forward, the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles present a unique opportunity to enhance the visitor experience by seamlessly connecting sports venues with the city's iconic tourist attractions. By using our GIS data, we can create maps that provide detailed information about venues, transportation options, and local points of interest. These resources highlight popular and local attractions, drawing attention to both well-known landmarks and hidden gems, while also simplifying transportation for the millions of visitors that we will have. These are our sources.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the second presentation. We have the group number 5, inequality and access public transportation in the county.
I could introduce us. So our topic was on the inequality of public. Oh, sorry, let me get my camera on. the inequality in access to public transportation in LA County and the solutions to public transportation within this very Los Angeles County that we live in. And the people on our group is Jennifer Lee, Jordan Daniels, and myself, Jeremy Reyes. So if we could scroll down. So the questions that we wanted to answer in terms of our project was looking into the public transportation within LA to see whether it is adequate enough for the residents and also the people commuting within there for the jobs. And if not, which areas of LA County needed the focus and needed the investment to improve transportation within these very areas. So what was the main objective of even this very project was to analyze the existing data sets surrounding LA counties, including demographic, like income, population, transportation times, and other characteristics that uh, pertain to those commuting in and out of this county. So using these demographics, we could see where transportation, especially public transportation, is needed most and what areas are lacking in order for us to now use these to help improve where the specific stops and where specific locations need a little bit more work. So
our area of interest is Los Angeles County. It's the most populous county in the United States with 9.6 million residents alone. So, with this much people and how Los Angeles is designed, traffic congestion has become a huge problem. And due to this, good public transportation is a need. Here are critical variables that we'll analyze. Median income, which will be focused on the poorest areas, population density. We want to focus on higher density, commute time. We want to look into how commute time varies from zip code to zip code, and we want to pay attention to the longest commute time areas. Vehicle ownership in households. We want to focus on the lower amount of vehicle ownership, walkability index, and existing public transportation stops. So these are initial findings surrounding population density and median income. The left is population density, and the right is median household income. All of these are broken up into zip code areas. So as you can see on the left, there are higher populations within the city center of LA, with the range being about 26,000 to 49,000 people per zip code area. There's also a good amount of people within the suburbs surrounding the city center of LA. And also, especially down south within the beaches and towards the east, while the lower population densities are along the coast. For incomes, there seems to be higher incomes near the coast. In the west of the county, there's a huge chunk of area that's earning the highest amount of around 150K to 200K. Some of the specific areas of coast are Malibu and Calabasas, and the lower income areas of around 40,000 seem to be around the LA city center. This, you can scroll down. The next demographic variable we analyze is commute time. We analyze people commuting more than 7+ hours every week, and as seen in the map, there are a lot of people that commute for a really long amount of time per week. The more notable counties that are within the city, they are within the city of Los Angeles, spread out into the San Gabriel Valley area, up to Azusa. There's also a large amount of people commuting near Silmar. So the commute zip codes with the most people having 7+ hours per week of commute times are Los Angeles, Pacoima, Norwalk, Southgate, and Bell Gardens, which are all marked with the markers. Los Angeles being the top with 16,000 people, and then Bell Gardens being the least, well, the least of the top five with around 14,000 to 15,000 people. And then if you scroll down, next we have the vehicle ownership by household in percentages. For this, we want to pay specific attention to who owns the least amount of vehicles based on percentages within the zip codes. Here are the lowest 5 zip codes from larger percentage to smaller. There are the 2 areas of Glendale which have around 71 to 70% of vehicle ownership. Then it goes to the zip codes of Los Angeles, which have around 69 to 64% of vehicle ownership. It's also important to note that these percentages, while being the lowest, are actually still pretty high. The lowest being 64%. So the whole of the county is still pretty vehicle dependent. But the lower percentages near the city make sense since Los Angeles is more compact. And in later findings, we find that it has more public transit and then also it has lower income. So people are less likely to own personal vehicles. Higher vehicle ownership rates seem to be along the west and south side along the coast. And this makes sense because they have a higher income, so they're more likely to own a vehicle. Um, for suitability analysis, let me see here. We use a feature within the business analyst section, and we use suitability analysis, and we wanted to analyze income, population, commute time, and vehicle ownership, which were weighted all equally at 25%, which is our demographic variables. And then we looked into the zip codes that had the lowest median income, highest population density, highest amount of people commuting 7+ hours a week, and the lowest percentages of owning a vehicle. So this is what makes up the suitability analysis report. It's no surprise that based on early analysis that the top 5 that need public transportation is within central LA with scores of 100 to 82. Findings later suggest that the city of LA has a pretty good public transportation system. So to do this, we're looking to expand the transportation system, not for the central city of LA, but for areas surrounding it, like the suburbs, which are circled in yellow, and have a suitability score of around 80 to 55. Those who need public transportation the least, are along the coast, like Calabasas, Malibu, and Palos Verdes. So yeah.
Okay, so for our initial transportation stops, if you can slide the map over to the on the left side, you can see these are the other way, sorry, to the right. You can see that these are the already existing stops that we have for the Metro line. And then on the other side of the map, we're showing you possible areas for expansion because just you can see a lot of mid or central LA has a lot of Metro already or Metro lines. We circled the areas that we wanted to possibly expand into because in like Rosemead, El Monte area, it tends to be kind of a little bit more compact. So if they had the more stops in there, it'd be a little bit easier to kind of ease up on the traffic in that area. And then can you scroll, to the bike stations? Yeah, so we have the already existing bike stations, and then the green and yellow layers you see are the walkability indexes. So the green is areas that are just a little bit more easily accessible and have a lot more central hubs that are you can get to by walking. So having the bike stations here would just make it a little bit easier if people who don't want to walk in these areas. They're already in like Santa Monica, Central Los Angeles, a lot of West LA too. But since suburbs are more car friendly, we didn't choose to put more of the bike stops down there. We just put them more in like the purple areas. In areas like West Hollywood, areas like that, especially like near USC. USC is not really known as a commuter school, so having the bike stations out there would help a lot of the students who need to get around either around campus or just going around the area. Can you scroll down? That's what I was covering. So the findings. So we wanted to just basically improve whatever transportation was in areas that already had it as well too. So even if we saw that there was areas that had the transportation already, we're just seeing if there's ways to improve it. Like if the surrounding areas don't have that public transit, it could be causing the traffic congestion. So improving the transit in that area could lower the traffic congestion. And then if you could scroll down to the metro lines. So this is the same metro lines we saw earlier on our previous map, but we also put the red stars on there to show you guys where else we wanted to expand to. We put it along existing railroads just to make it possibly easier for expansion because it's already transportation that was in use. And then you scroll down to the same concept for the bike stops here. We wanted to just go to more like central LA because of the walkability from that map we showed you guys earlier. And if we put them near parks and high schools, or even like I said, the college campuses that aren't really known as commuter schools, it helps with improving the walkability or them being able to use the bikes in those higher walkable areas. And then for our value of the project, we just wanted to, again, like I said, reiterate, we just wanted to improve any transportation gaps that we saw. Even if there was already stuff there, we just wanted to see if there was ways to make the transportation easier for consumers or people who live in those neighborhoods already, and then also even possibly decreasing the emissions. And those are our sources.
Thank you so much. Let's move to the next group, predictive analysis shoplifting at Walgreens in San Francisco.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is the introduction for Group 3's Group 4's predictive analysis of shoplifting at Walgreens in SF. So our research question is, how can spatial and temporal patterns along with neighborhood factors be used to develop predictive models for shoplifting at Walgreens? Our main objectives, by analyzing where and when shoplifting incidents are most likely to occur, we can uncover insights into high-risk times and locations for theft. Another main objective would be understanding the factors such as time of day of the week, and neighborhood characteristics will allow us to develop these predictive models that forecast potential shoplifting incidents at specific Walgreens locations. So our main objective, shoplifting, especially larceny theft, poses a significant challenge for Walgreens stores in San Francisco. These incidents lead to major financial losses and increased costs for security measures like surveillance, staffing, and training. Beyond the financial impact, repeated thefts create an uneasy environment for customers and employees, which can deter shoppers and lower morale. This issue is especially pronounced in urban areas where certain Walgreens locations are more frequently targeted due to their proximity to high crime neighborhoods or transit hubs. For Objective 2, while Walgreens has implemented preventive measures, these efforts are largely reactive at addressing theft after it happens rather than preventing it. Without predictive insights, it's difficult to allocate resources efficiently, such as adjusting staffing or enhancing security based on anticipated risks. Shoplifting has become a major issue for urban retail stores, leading to financial losses, higher costs, and safety concerns. Walgreens locations in San Francisco are particularly affected with frequent thefts impacting store performance and creating an unsafe environment for both employees and customers. This not only hurts the bottom line, but also damages employee morale and customer retention. To address this, Walgreens is exploring data-driven solutions to understand and reduce shoplifting. Predictive analytics can help by identifying patterns and forecasting where and when theft is likely to happen. This allows for better resource allocation and targeted prevention strategies. Our project focuses on using spatial and temporal analysis to uncover shoplifting patterns across Walgreens stores in San Francisco. By developing predictive models, we aim to pinpoint high-risk times and locations, enabling proactive loss prevention and improving safety. These insights could also support city planners and law enforcement in addressing crime more effectively.
Okay, so I'll be going over the potential value of the project. Could you go all the way back up to, yeah, right there, yeah. Okay. So the project brings significant value not just to Walgreens, but the entire community. So for Walgreens specifically, predictive insights allow the company to tackle shoplifting more effectively by focusing on high-risk times and locations. This means resources like staffing and security can be optimized, which reduces financial loss and creates a safer, more inviting shopping environment, which boosts customer satisfaction and loyalty. And as for local law enforcement, for local law enforcement, it also benefits from this project by understanding thefts and trends and identifying high-risk areas. Police can focus on patrols and interventions where they're needed most. This improves how resources are allocated, shortens response times, and strengthens crime prevention efforts overall. For city planners and policymakers, they can use these findings to address deeper issues like the socioeconomic factors which contribute to retail theft. This helps in creating smarter data-driven strategies for urban planning and community development. And ultimately, the value extends beyond Walgreens. It's about fostering safer neighborhoods. By combining these efforts, we can create environments where both businesses and communities can thrive.
Okay, so for the data store and preparing in detail, the project the data that the three key data sources that we use are crime data from the San Francisco Police Department, which includes all the shoplifting incident with geographic coordinate, time, and description. And then we got the Walgreens location from the registered business location of San Francisco, which have which we will correlate the shoplifting incident with, and the demographic data from the U.S. Census, which provide the social economic information like income level and population density around the Walgreens store. And then for the data preparation detail, we use the data cleaning process like the filtering crime data to only shoplifting incident and removing irrelevant field. For the demographic data and the register business location, we filter down to only relevant Walgreens location. And then for the missing data and no value, they will replace it with average from the surrounding area. And we also did consistency tests to make sure the alignment between crime location and Walgreens store. And we also did a spatial join to conduct to associate shoplifting incident around the Walgreens location.
So this map shows the Walgreens locations and larceny, theft, shoplifting incidents throughout San Francisco. So like towards the east side of the city, there's a lot of shoplifting incidents. But we also want to know like what time of the day certain Walgreens locations experiences the most shoplifting incidents. So we'll be using several spatial analysis methods. So hotspot analysis is a GIS method tool that identifies where shoplifting incidents are increasing, decreasing, or staying consistent over time, categorizing areas as intensifying, diminishing, or persistent hotspots. This technique helps Walgreens pinpoint high-risk locations and adjust resources, such as adding security or staff, to address evolving crime patterns. By tracking spatial and temporal shifts, Walgreens can implement timely interventions and adapt to changing shoplifting trends, making this a valuable tool for proactive and targeted crime prevention. We'll also be using change point detection, which identifies sudden shifts in shoplifting patterns over time, which helps Walgreens recognize periods of heightened risk and adjust security measures accordingly. It is especially useful for detecting seasonal or time-based trends, allowing for targeted interventions, such as increasing staff during high-risk periods like holidays or late evenings. And the final spatial analysis tool we'll be using is a space-time cube analysis, which organizes shoplifting data across space and time, creating a 2D visualization that reveals trends with statistical confidence. This method helps Walgreens identify locations with significant uptrends or downtrends in theft, forecast future risks, and allocate resources efficiently. Its comprehensive insights support accurate, data-driven decisions and long-term security planning.
For the results, could you go back to the map? Yeah. So for the results, we used the space-time cube by aggregating point geoprocessing tool. It created a 3,844 grid location, each with 250 by 250 meter square. It's analyzed over 7 years at an interval of 2 weeks. Using the visualization space-time cube, we can see a trend of 13.01% of location reported in San Francisco for of shoplifting incident. 7.86% shows consistent activity of shoplifting. Then applying the emerging hotspot, we discovered that Supervisor District 6, where Salesforce Transit Center is located, and the Supervisor District 3 is where the diminishing and sporadic hotspots are located. There was an issue with loading the data, I assume, because the legend doesn't match the colors on the map, but the diminishing hotspot are the gray squares. And yeah, District 6 and District 3 is within that area. So focusing on that area, the Walgreen that are affected is 459 Powell Street, 135 Powell Street, 825 Market Street, and 1899 Fillmore Street. Using the point detection, it should show a square as it changes throughout the time period. From February 2020 to May 2024, there was significant change. Likely causes were policy changes and economic pressures. Yep. Could you scroll down to the recommendation? The recommendation, the last one. Oh, yeah. So our recommendation is to increase security staff or install advanced surveillance system at high risk Walgreens. Also, utilize artificial intelligence to monitor and flag suspicious activities, adjust inventory to high theft items in stores with a high risk of shoplifting, collaborate with law enforcement and community programs to address the root cause of shoplifting, and engage with district supervisor to propose new solutions and revise existing policy and reduce shoplifting rates. And those are our sources.
Thank you so much. Let's move to the next presentation, the premium grocery stores in Orange County.
All right. So yeah, we are Group 4. And today we'll be talking about introducing premium grocery stores in Orange County. I'm Vince Pastrana, and our group mates are Adam Chua, Larissa Domingo, Kayla Mulholland, and Kevin Yuen. So kind of just to start about the factor itself, obesity is a major problem in the US. According to, sorry, if you can scroll down a little bit. According to the NIDDK, nearly 1 in 3 adults are overweight, more than 2 in 5 are obese, and 1 in 11 have severe obesity. And it's not just adults, children as well, aged 2 through 19. 1 in 6 are overweight, 1 in 5 are obese, and 1 in 16 are severely obese. And excess weight severely affects the body. It increases the risk of things like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and joint problems. And because of this, there's been a growing awareness in the importance of diet and lifestyle when it comes to just what consumers are looking forward to in their products. According to a study by Deloitte, while price is still the #1 factor when it came to purchasing decisions, many people still considered health and wellness when they were buying their groceries, as well as 55% of them were willing to pay more for foods that could boost health and wellness. Which kind of just shows that there is a large market for health grocers, and as a businessman, someone might want to capitalize on that by creating their own health grocer or opening their own health grocer. So our goal with this project was to help people who are interested in opening health grocers find the ideal location to open a premium grocery store. And going to our problem statement and research questions. Our 2 research questions we have today are: what factors affect the success of a grocery store location? And finally, how does the proximity to local services and competitors affect the store's success?
Yeah, so going into our geographic area of interest, it is Orange County. Originally, we were going to propose an analysis on LA, but switched to Orange County because it is a better fit for our business, which is the health food grocery stores. And their diverse demographics, strong health conscious population, and increased demand for organic and specialty products position this county as a prime study. So yeah, this map is interactive, and you can see by the darker colors represent the higher dense locations, and it talks about the different populations like race and ethnicity. And if you scroll down, it's an infographic about our region of study. It talks about our median household value and the median household income, which is above 100K, which means that it is a very affluent area, which can mean that they have more income to spend on their grocery bills. And then if you scroll down, why Orange County? We chose it because of its diverse communities. Below is an infographic talking about each, diving into each age bracket and household ownership, for example. And then if you scroll down again, there's a high consciousness for health and nutrition. So overall, there's a score of 82, which means that they have that's very important to them for groceries and food. And then the next one is Orange County health outcomes. Orange County has a higher health rate in the US compared to the state average. Next one. So you can scroll down. So this is just more on the environment. So this is a demographic of one of our target markets, which is Irvine. It's one of the more affluent demographics with high income households in the city like Irvine, and then the other one I believe is Newport. Are known to support premium grocery stores offering organic and specialty products. And then here's the spatial or statistical comparisons, Orange County versus the US. And then you can scroll down. This is the border of Orange County, which is outlined. And if you zoom in, you can see that our two markets that we have now are Whole Foods and Bristol Farms. And there aren't that many of them, which is why we're proposing more of them. If you wanna, yeah. And then next.
All right, so for spatial data stores and preparation, all the data is sourced from the data browser ArcGIS Business Analyst, which provides an access to a wide range of categorized data variables. These data sets were vetted for accuracy by Esri experts, and they originate from authoritative sources like U.S. Census Bureau, ACS, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So they're all very credible. So this data covers demographic, behavioral, business, environmental, and location-based variables tailored to the selected geographic area, which is, in our case, is Orange County. So the data browser simplifies accessing reliable and ready-to-use data relevant to the project. So as you can see that table right there, those are the variables that we focused on for our analysis. You can see there's key demographic factors like disposable income, age, household size, density, and dietary behaviors, like people who specifically buy organic, eat organic, they control their diet for physical fitness, they have very healthy diets. And then we also wanted to look at people who are highly educated. So we focused on people who have bachelor's degrees as like a metric for at least like the level of education that we want for our desired target market. And then healthcare average spending, which is like a health indicator for our study, because higher healthcare spending tends to correlate with people who are prevalent with illnesses. All right, so as you can see, that's just a map of our current competitors. So on top of Whole Foods and Bristol Farms, we also have Sprouts and Amazon Fresh. So this is just the methodology, just like a summary of our overall analysis. We have a research question, area interest, the data analysis, and then we'll go over the results later. So for the spatial analysis methods, first we did color-coded spatial mapping for each factor. So as you can see, that's an example of, I believe that's median age. So the darker this color scheme, that means the higher the concentration. Second is just we did geoprocessing methods to filter out the potential locations. We could use select by attributes or the smart map search. And to select the ultimate sites, we use a suitability analysis, which uses a multiple weighted criteria considering all the factors that I mentioned earlier, as you can see. And then once we established the sites, we did a proximity network analysis, which includes a buffer of 1, 2, 3 miles, a walk time and drive time analysis. Okay, then moving on to the actual analysis. That table right there shows the value, our desired metrics and the measure for filter. So these values were calculated using like the the county averages, and we set that as either the minimum or maximum. Since we're a premium business, we would like to at least have the average of the county as either a minimum or a maximum. So in this case, let's say disposable income is 80,000, right? That's around the average of the Orange County. So we would at least want a demographic that I would have that as the minimum. And then using the filtering techniques such as Smart Map and Select by Attributes, we resulted in these 3 clusters of zip codes. And then using the suitability score analysis, we came up with the top 5 sites. So it works out pretty well because there's one for each of the clusters. So ultimately, these are the 3 block groups that we want to select for our business sites, and one for Irvine, which was one of our target cities, as mentioned before, Costa Mesa and Cypress. If you scroll down a little, you can see the block groups cited. I'll pass it on to Kevin.
So regarding our results, also if you could scroll on just a little bit, just to like the images below. Yeah. Okay. So as mentioned before, we conducted multiple analyses to determine the efficacy of the proposed locations. So the 3 analyses that I'm going to discuss in this section are the walk time, buffer, and drive time analyses. So starting off, we're going to look at the competing stores within a certain range of our proposed stores. We looked at our prospective competitors as Amazon Fresh, Bristol Farms, Sprouts Farmers Market, and Whole Foods, because they also fit within this more healthy, like health-focused grocery store chains. So starting off regarding our walk time analyses, we found that none of the proposed locations have a competing store within a 15 minutes walk. So we're going to see that down there. And then regarding our buffer analysis, there was 1 Bristol Farms location, 3 Sprouts, and 2 Whole Foods located within a 3-mile radius of the 3 stores. Also, just one bit. These are that's the next section. Yeah. And then our drive time analyses caught that there were a few more stores within that localized region outside of that 3-mile radius. So there was 1 Amazon Fresh and 3 more Whole Foods locations within a 15-minute drive of the 3 locations. The next regional factor that we wanted to look into was schools, and just scroll down. Thank you. And then with part of our target demographic being families with children, a close proximity to schools and colleges allows us to attract both families trying to prepare meals for their children and also college-age students who wanted to improve their general dietary habits. So in the following graphs and like images, we're going to see schools within the localized region, right? So this includes like daycares, middle schools, high schools, colleges, everything that you can like kind of think of that are education focused. So in the interest of timing, I've combined the walk time, buffer, and drive time analyses to show the total number of nearby schools for each of these locations. So for the Cypress location, there are 153 schools nearby. There are 283 near the Costa Mesa location and 340 near the Irvine location. And then the last regional factor is we're going to look into where health clubs, sports facilities, and health organizations. This includes all the lifestyle/fitness facilities such as gyms, Pilates studios, and spas, and more. So just like the last section, I've combined each of the walk time, buffer, and drive time analyses for this locations. So with this, we found 135 locations near the Cypress location, 540 near the Costa Mesa location, which is right there. And then there were 441 nearby the Irvine location. And then I'm going to pass it on to Caitlin for the recommendations.
So when it comes to the recommendations, there are like kind of 3 things you should definitely be looking at. One is to kind of look at zoning laws and regulations, because sometimes with certain areas, we never really looked too deep into it, but certain areas might not permit retail food establishments. Another thing is to identify kind of additional requirements. This could be things like health and safety standards and parking mandates. And finally, a good idea would be to kind of consult with local planning and zoning boards for more approval. And if you scroll down just a bit, another place to get a lot of more information would be kind of these commercial real estate agencies. Because talking to real estate agencies with more experience in retail and grocery sectors can provide valuable insights into things like lease negotiations, property values, and also location-specific challenges that the current location has. And you can definitely use their market knowledge to identify potential future risks, like shifting demographics or maybe possible redevelopment plans. And I think finally, another good, if you can scroll up again, sorry, I think I put in that next paragraph. finally at like a nothing is, but the data can only get you so far. I think a good idea would be to physically scout the area around. This could be like visiting potential sites, like visiting the sites to assess foot traffic, visibility, and accessibility firsthand, as well as observing how nearby businesses work and how to gauge like the complementary and competitive dynamics, as well as taking notes of factors like parking availability, public transport access, and the potential for future expansion. And then the last thing is kind of considering other variables other than the ones we looked into. We looked very deep into competitor analysis and we used the other ones as filters, but obviously they could also be used for more in-depth analysis as well. One thing we talked about was population growth, as a growing population could signal a larger potential customer base and also more sustained demand. And this we could look over things like year-over-year population growth. Another thing is family growth rate, because families often prioritize health and nutrition. And another thing we can look into is cultural and ethnic composition, as different cultural and ethnic groups might have varying dietary preferences and traditions. And finally, another important one is kind of the employment rate and economic stability, as areas with stable employment and higher income levels are more likely to sustain more health-focused, more demand for health-focused groceries. I'll be passing off to Caitlin.
So in conclusion, we ended up doing our analysis first by looking at demographic data using business analyst, and then we were able to pick a county, and then we narrowed that down further by doing our color-coded analysis, our proximity and network analysis, suitability analysis, and also drive time analysis. And then finally, to further narrow it down, then we looked at the proximity to health facilities like gyms and also the proximity to schools. So ultimately, this allowed us to find some proposed locations in Irvine, Costa Mesa, and Cypress. And this is very important to do work like this because it allows the business to select an optimal location that's going to allow them to promote the longevity of the business while also meeting the needs of the target market. And we recognize that while access to health foods is a privilege that's not always accessible to all budgets, this is a population that does have the ability to take advantage of that, and they would really enjoy access to grocery stores that would allow them to meet all of their individual health needs. And these are our references.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's move to the last but not least presentation, market analysis for establishing VR game studio.
Okay. Hello, my name is Yoni, and our group members are Jackson, Steven, and Alwyn, and we chose market analysis for establishing a VR gaming studio in LA. The VR gaming industry is experiencing explosive growth driven by advancements in immersive technology and a rising demand for entertainment. VR gaming provides users with lifelike interactive environments that captivate a spectrum of audiences, such as casual gamers or enthusiasts of tech. As this industry expands, strategic location planning has become a critical factor for success, enabling businesses to attract their target market and maximize profitability. Our research question, we chose which areas in Los Angeles are most suitable for opening a VR gaming studio, considering demographic and social economic characteristics indicative of potential customers. Can you scroll down a little bit? Okay, for our areas of interest, we chose to concentrate on Silicon Beach, Hollywood, or downtown Los Angeles. These neighborhoods have a lot of foot traffic and residents that are into tech, and they are also close to businesses that complement one another. In order to improve these site selections, spatial analysis of these places can also access variables, including socioeconomic profiles, public transportation, and local competition density. And we can look in the map. Okay, so I'm gonna start talking about the purple dots. The purple dots are current VR studios in LA. Those are the top ones. And then I also highlighted in light green, the boxes in light green. Those are potential regions where we could build a VR studio. And the light green circle, or it's like a heat map, it concentrates more into those potential regions to um to see where we could build it in, like, for example, Culver City. In that specific region, we chose that it would be best to put a VR studio there. And yeah, I'll pass it on to Jackson.
Okay. So we use a few data sources. Well, no, we only use one file with multiple versions of it, which I'll get into. So we use Business Analyst, of course, the Census Bureau, where we gathered the data set from, and then we wanted to use the OSM map for better accuracy. So I'll just briefly go over the methodology flowchart. So first we defined our objective, then we collected our data, then we selected the variables, then we uh, did some analysis, and all in an attempt to identify the more ideal locations to open up the VR gaming studio. And lastly, the interpret the results. So what my issue was that I opened up Business Analyst and I needed to I uploaded our data source and I had a problem with the identifier. So then I was instructed to create a Federal Information Processing Standard code, or FIPS underscore code identifier. So I modified the data set like 3 times and I kept uploading it to try to find the block groups that would be ideal for opening the gaming studio. And I could not get any data to display. Um, so some solutions were validating the data source. So I needed to match I think there was some mismatch in the identifiers. So I tried it about 3, 4 times, and unfortunately I wasn't able to figure it out. But that was our idea. We were going to use ArcGIS with the data from the Census Bureau from Los Angeles to find the top locations. I think I can pass it to Stephen.
Okay, hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on everything that we have gathered with all our data, based on those 3 things you talked about, so if we can go back to the map. Okay, so the first thing we did with our data is we conclude that the brown polygons on the map is a way to represent the demographic of the data we had, such as the population density, the household size, and the vacancy rates. And what this correlates to is the brown spots is people are more likely to have be interested in VR around this area. Some low vacancy rates in this spot, like the vibrant colors, are people that are actively engaged in the community and less transient. And the smaller household size often indicate younger tech savvy individuals who are primary demographic for VR gaming studios. And the reason why I included this is to pinpoint neighborhoods with active populations that are more likely to engage in VR environments and entertainment. And the purple dots, if you go on the map right there, this represents the top LA VR studios, and this helps us identify the current competitors in the market, which provides us insight into successful areas that could serve as a benchmark for us to replicate that success. And the reason we also do that is so we can avoid oversaturated areas that are already obviously saturated. So we target undeserved neighborhoods so then we can capture a market share without being directly competitive to them. Okay. And now I'm going to pass it on to Alwyn.
Thank you. So now I'm going to talk about the discussion of results. Can you scroll a little bit upward? Yeah, thank you. So we identified like some key demographics and socioeconomic patterns across Los Angeles County, which shows us like the optimal area for establishing a VR gaming studio. So we by leveraging cluster analysis, we have group locations to like high, moderate, and low potential clusters based on like different aspects like potential population density, age distribution, and income levels. So we have like 3 different clusters. So for high potential clusters, we have locations like downtown Los Angeles, Santa Monica, which is also called the Silicon Beach, because most of the high tech companies are over there, and also Westwood. So these areas feature a high concentration of young, affluent individuals, which is ideal for VR gaming. So downtown offer high foot traffic and accessibility, while Santa Monica and Westwood cater to tech-savvy population and disposable income, which is like really favor for us if we set up a store there. And for moderate potential clusters, we have Hollywood and Silver Lake. So these areas have like moderate potential population density and income levels. Hollywood benefits from tourism and entertainment infrastructure, while Silver Lake appeals to young, creative demographics. The reason why like this is like more a moderate potential clusters is because these kinds of areas doesn't have like a stable group of customers, because for entertainment it's major. For Hollywood, as an example, it's more like a tourist spot. So like it's not really attracting a lot of people there. Like if we decide to open a VR gaming studio, because we are more, we kind of want more high, like young people which are also into tech. And so for low potential clusters, we have like areas with lower population density or income, which is excluded from consideration because there's no like alignment and with the target market. So for conclusion, the spatial analysis reviewed that area with dense, affluent, and tech-savvy population are most suitable for VR gaming studio in Los Angeles. Also, by focusing on these identified locations, business can maximize their market reach and operational success.
Thank you so much. And that was the last presentation on the StoryMaps for the Transforming Business in Connected World.